Hi, we got Sean Christo on today. He has got his own YouTube channel, and this has been a while in the making. I kept blowing it off. I was getting a little anxiety over it because this isn't normally my kind of thing, so I kept just blowing it off. But it's good to have you on, bro. What got you into doing a YouTube channel?
Thanks, buddy. Yeah. What's funny is really long story, uh, but I'll keep it as short as possible.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
the
do your
YouTube
thing.
channel, yeah. What happened was, believe it or not, my sister, my biological sister, whom I'm estranged from,
Okay.
she was briefly very famous for being the author of a fan fiction about Harry Potter that is legendary for being bad. It's called My Immortal. If you ever Google you'll see people love this thing. Millions of views just from people talking about it. They love this thing called My Immortal. And she was the author of that. And she wrote a memoir about how she used that fanfic to try to reconnect with me, her estranged brother.
Okay.
And so the memoir was just, unfortunately, I hated to do this, but her memoir was complete bunk. Her memoir was all about like how we were Native Americans. We're not Native Americans.
Oh,
How we were in foster care. We weren't in foster care. Uh, and how she was like looking for me when the opposite was true. I had been looking for her. I found her address. I reached out for her.
yeah,
Uh, and she, put up a wall, which was fine. It's her choice.
yeah.
But the fact that she did all that and then wrote a fake memoir about trying to find me really rubbed me the wrong way. So I came out with on YouTube, um, and I spoke out and I said, "Hey, look, I'm this girl's brother, this famous uh, fan fiction author's brother, and actually everything she's selling in this memoir is unfortunately fake." And her memoir wound up getting canceled. Her fans still hate me to this day. I'd say most of the people who watch me hate me, but that's how it started. That's how
Yeah.
it started.
Well, they say all publicity is bad publicity or good publicity. Any publicity is
Yeah,
good publicity. So.
yeah. Even Mr. Trump believes that too. Our president. He says the exact same thing. No, all news is good news.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've had, the I'll put out something interesting on Facebook, a very controversial post, and I will just
Hmm.
get jumped. I mean, I'm getting jumped. I got women
I've
talking
seen
shit
it.
to me. They're unfriending me, but they all watched my podcast that following weekend. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I've
there's
seen it.
there's actually a lot of people. There's a lot of like sober living people and people who are big in recovery who are still addicts who are still doing that sort of thing. And there's a lot of people in like the self improvement that don't really talk what they preach. So a lot of people just get
Yes.
on there and kind of they just look for that thing. Why were you? We're gonna dig deep. Are you ready to dig deep for a minute?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, bud.
Why were you estranged from your sister? What happened? What's the story behind that?
That's a funny thing. Like our story growing up was actually, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it was pretty
Yeah,
tragic, right? Like if you wanted to write a memoir about it without lying, you easily could, and you easily could,
yeah,
in her position, make plenty about it. Like there's no reason she had to lie and just completely fabricate a different thing. So long story short is we had a single mother growing up. She was deeply mentally ill, deeply drug addicted.
okay.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
deep. Oh no, it's okay, buddy. Uh, and she was horrible to both of us, especially toward me because she hated men. Because like I was emblematic of my father.
Yeah,
And what happened was, she eventually moved immediately downstairs from her own mother, our grandmother, whom she was whom she had her own history with in her childhood, like a deep history of abuse and drug addiction, and like her mother let her boyfriend sexually abuse her, etc. So for her, that was a big move of desperation, but a big move of also wanting to connect with her own mother. And long story short, our grandmother got super close with our sister, and there was a massive custody battle between our grandmother and our sister, which is very atypical. Normally, custody battles are between like mother and father.
yeah,
Uh, but uh, the long story short is my mother lost custody of my sister but kept custody of me, and from there, I was about 7, my sister was 11, and from there, we've unfortunately, to my regret, haven't had any contact since then, except for briefly during this whole crazy memoir story.
Yeah, so she kind of took that personal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think. Well, I shouldn't say I think. I know. I know my sister got deeply. How should I say? Kind of brainwashed by my grandmother into being a dependent on her. Like
Okay.
when this long time that I talked to her, she was already 30 years old and she didn't have a driver's license. She thought nothing of herself. She thought herself incapable, you
Yeah.
know, and she talked about her grandmother, like our grandmother, like she was a god to her. And I feel awful about the fate that transpired for my sister because even as a kid, I knew, you know, the battle between my mother and my grandmother was a battle between two fucking pardon my language, two evils, and there was no winning that, and it was terrible that my sister and I were both in that situation. But I think unfortunately my sister came out of it worse for wear than I did, and I regret that. That's probably one of my biggest regrets in life.
Okay. How did that affect? How did growing up like that affect you in your life later on? Did it have an effect?
Oh, so much, brother. So I basically joined the military the moment I could. The moment I turned 18, I went to USAFA, the United States Air Force Academy, um, and the big impetus there was getting out of Brooklyn, getting away from where we grew up. We grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Getting the hell out of New York City, getting the hell away from my biological mother as much as possible, getting completely cutting off my family and joining the military, which was a great decision. But I was so ill prepared for how should I say normal people, man. Like it's especially at USAF. So these USAFA guys, they're mostly they all become military officers upon graduating, and 90% of them I'd say are from really good families and shit like that. You know, like when I first got to basic training, I remember there were these two guys talking about like how many horses they owned growing up, and I laughed at them because I thought that was fictional. Because like to me, the idea that anyone could own horses was something that you had to be so rich
Yeah.
to achieve
Yeah.
that it was like unheard of to me because that's how deeply poor I grew up. Like I was just broke as shit, and in the city no less.
Yeah.
So like I was so ill prepared and so ill prepared to be a man. Honestly, uh, single mothers can't raise boys. Single mothers cannot turn a boy into a man. No insult to any single mother watching this, but a single mother cannot make a boy a man. They just don't know the world that men have to live in, and needless to say, my 4 years at USAFA, I struggled like hell to adapt to be uh, to comport myself and behave myself the way they expect a
Yeah.
future officer to. And I'm still learning to this day. I managed to graduate, managed to join the military, managed to become an officer, thank God. But I'm
Congratulations.
still learning. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Much love, Kim.
So there's actually men who were raised by single mothers are more likely to become drug addicts or go to prison than they are to finish college.
That
And
is
that's
absolutely true.
yeah, that's an unfortunate thing. And we also tend to grow up sort of naive and not, like we look at it as all men are kind of fuck their mom over, right? So that when
Hmm.
we get out into life, we 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 tend to be naive toward what women do toward men and men do toward women. We tend to be naive toward kind of both aspects of that.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Have you ever heard the not that I wanted to go down this road, but just a brief
Okay.
aside. Have you ever heard the term incel?
So yeah,
INCEO.
yeah,
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 a
we can
lot
go
of
down the
those
road.
guys they're raised by single moms
Yep,
because
yep,
they, like I said, you can't be no insult to single mothers. Like I feel so bad for them, but they don't know what it takes to make a boy into a man because they never have to live in that world.
yeah. Do you know what red pill is? Like the red
Oh
pill, like
yeah.
yeah. So I think most incels and red pills because they kind of interchange a little bit. They kind of, but I think that I think they were really romantic at one point and they had really good intentions and they got hurt really fucking bad and they just didn't
That's
know how to climb out of that hurt.
You're absolutely right. This goes back to like 2012 or even earlier.
Okay.
But before the term incel existed,
Yeah.
you know what they called themselves?
What?
They called themselves love shy, like shy about
Okay.
love.
Okay.
Like it wasn't so much about being incel and being unable to have sex so much as it was like they were super romantic guys, like you just said,
Yep.
but they couldn't find love.
Yeah.
Like love was the big focus, and then they kind of became darker, more black pilled than red pilled a little bit, and
Yeah.
and they started caring only about getting it wet as opposed to
Yeah.
finding love. So
So I have I have some empathy for those guys to an extent because I they weren't able to climb out of that hurt, right? And so it's the dating market. Life is tougher on guys than anyone gives it credit for. We
it's
don't,
absolutely true.
but Congress just passed a bill, two bills, one to kind of overhaul men's mental health and take a look at better strategies towards men's mental health because we got left behind on mental health. Like we don't respond the way that women do when they go to counseling and therapy and stuff like that. And then they also passed a bill to look into young men in school because I think they have different needs. So they're actually it's actually kind of gotten to the point where they're looking at it, and it took a really long time for them to take a look at that because young men they're lost. Young men are lost if they and we don't have the proper role models anymore. We're not they're not being taught how to express their emotions. They're not being taught how to be a man. And then society turned that page, which might society turned a page at some point saying that there's something inherent about men that are toxic. And so that gets confusing because we're sitting here like, well, that's part of who I am. And if you're calling that toxic, then we get kind of left, we get left in a spot where no one's telling us, no one's really telling us how to be a man, but we get to hear that being a man is sort of toxic.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true, and not only that, but it's universal. At least in like the Western world, the Western countries, like
Yeah.
we think of it as just a problem facing America. But I read a I read a statistical study a few months ago that like in Britain, the worst possible fate you can grow up as is to be a young white boy. Like that is a fate that sets you up statistically for the least amount of success in the United Kingdom. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, it's, it's gotten to where, when I was growing up, I didn't really have a male role model. So
Yeah.
I was kind of, my mom and dad divorced when I was in single digits. So it was kind of my
Yes.
mom. And then she got a stepdad, and that turned kind of fucking abusive. So I didn't really have any kind of a role model. I ended up growing up in a system a little bit. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, if we don't give young men a role model, they just get spit out into the world and they have to deal with it all themselves. And a lot of us don't know how to fucking do that. You know,
That is
we,
so true.
yeah, we end up either being abusive or we end up putting ourselves in spots where we're being abused and we end up thinking that love is something that we have to work for or something that not we're not capable of it, we're not capable of receiving it, like we're not worthy of that love. So then we end up being people pleasers and we end up going down this whole freaking road where and they say that I heard this saying that when men struggle women are most affected.
That's true, in a way. Uh, it remind this part is more of a joke than it is serious. But
Yeah.
I once read that oh, it was a Hillary Clinton quote that women are always the primary victims of war because they lose their husbands.
Oh my god. Did she really say that though?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I know there's a lot of fake political quotes out there, but that one is real. She
Yeah.
absolutely said that. This was before Obama was even elected.
Okay.
This is like
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating that she had that perspective on it, I guess.
yeah. God bless him. God bless him.
So
I don't
you
know. I think
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask. So you said you grew up with a so you basically grew up in a single mother household yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had the stepfather, but really him not being a strong role model. And even if he were, you know, your relationship notwithstanding, it doesn't really change things from your perspective. So like you also grew up in a single mother household.
Yeah, I grew up naive. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to really look into myself after a while, and I think it happened after I lost my leg. Because I kind of just coasted through life and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know what was going on inside me. So I had to look at that for a little while, and I think I grew up pretty fucking naive to the world. I mean, I lived on the streets. I was in a system around, just kind of the rougher side of society. I went to prison when I was 20, and
God
still,
bless.
I guess I come out of prison and I had no idea how the fucking world works. I didn't know how people treated each other. I didn't know how to, and so I've always been susceptible to going down the wrong path. And that was always more comfortable to me because I understood that area of life. So
Yes.
I'd been to prison, I was in the system, I grew up on the streets. And so the rougher path was understandable to me. I understood the rules, I understood the politics. I didn't understand the other side of life. I didn't understand relationships. I didn't understand how to build relationships with people and keep friends that were actually decent people. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it took a long fucking time for me to actually dig into myself and try to start making relationships outside of those kind of fucking people.
It's fascinating that you said to paraphrase, you said it took you losing your leg to kind of build your mind.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's inspiring in a way. Not that I'm happy that you lost your leg, but a lot of people, even when the writing is on the wall in front of their face, don't take that chance to grow. And it's impressive that you took, losing your leg to, you lost a part of your body but gained a part of your mind, and that is impressive in its own right. And
Yeah,
God bless you.
I like the way you put that. That was kind of that was a cash line right there. I like the way you put that. I might borrow that.
Please do, please do,
Yeah, I
please
lost
do.
my leg, and now I didn't just climb out of it. I didn't like. I think the writing on the wall was staring at me for a long time, and I
Yeah.
fucked myself, and I burnt my world down. I got into drugs and addiction, and so it took me
Mm-hmm.
a good probably 4 fucking years of shooting myself in the fucking foot and fucking myself over. I had a pistol in my mouth at one time, so
So
it wasn't an easy transition at all. I had to it was kind of a crawling your way out of the mud to an extent and trying to figure it
yes.
out.
May I ask how you lost your leg?
Yeah,
If it's too
motorcycle
personal,
accident.
it's okay.
I was on a
Oh, it
motorcycle
was a
accident.
motorcycle accident.
Yeah,
No kidding.
yeah,
God bless.
yeah,
God bless. I'm glad you didn't lose more than that, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't know how lucky I was at the time, but I was very
Yeah.
happy to be alive. Like after the ambulance came and everything, I was like, oh, I love you guys. Oh, I was cracking jokes. I was so fucking happy. So yeah, but it took a long time. I think sometimes we learn as humans, we are able to learn more from our mistakes than we are from conquering something. Because if you think about it, let's say we set a goal and then we hit that goal, we're always looking for the next goal.
Yep.
Like it becomes a never ending kind of cycle.
You are absolutely right. It's it's hard to just kind of step back and be happy with what you've already achieved and what you already have.
Yeah, because we
You know.
just keep looking to the next step. And a lot of that may have to do with whatever happened when we're kids, how we're raised, maybe how we entered the world, because we tend to look at validation. We don't, I didn't give myself my own validation for a really long time. And I still have a hard time doing that sometimes. So I try to gain validation through moving, constantly trying to conquer something. Gym, constantly in the fucking gym, constantly trying to do business just to try to gain a little bit of that validation. And I've gotten a lot better at giving myself my own validation, but I still feel where I slip sometimes in my self-confidence. And so I reach higher and higher. I heard a saying one time that a lot of overachievers are just insecure people looking for that validation.
Oh, I like that. That's a powerful statement.
So you were in street beefs. we're
Yes, I
gonna
was.
take we're gonna change gears for a bit. I'll sweat.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was, good sir.
How did that happen?
Oh, that
What
happened because,
inspired
yeah. So I had my YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel started with my sister, but it grew into its own little monster. And now a lot of people hate me for a lot of different reasons, not just related to my sister. I have all sorts of people around the world who hate me.
Oh, that's good.
Uh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm
that's good.
so
Too.
grateful for it. Yeah. uh, and one of these guys hates me because I make fun of someone he's a massive fanboy of. So there's this guy called Low Tier God. He's a terrible person. He's 41 years old, and he acts like a 12-year-old. He's constantly going after underage girls. He has a daughter of his own who he
Oh,
says if she ever goes, he says he has no custody of her, but he said like if she ever showed up on his doorstep, he would shoot her. Things like this. Like just an all around terrible person who just
holy
hates
fuck.
women. Yeah, he's absolutely terrible person. But he has a massive following because in this day and age, being a terrible person rewards you nicely.
The algorithm.
He's got 300,000 followers on Twitch alone.
Holy crap. Yeah, the algorithm tends to favor very outspoken, very controversial things. If I was to put on my podcast, if I was to, I'm doing an episode, this is why men and women belong together, they fit together, and this is how we need to make it happen. 0 views. I say men
Yep.
versus women, and I get a bunch of fucking views. Like that's kind
Yep.
of the algorithm. And that if we circle back to the way young men are being raised, they don't have a lot of role models anymore. If you look at it, even the movies took away our role models. Look at Thor. Okay,
Yep.
I don't remember the guy who plays him. He's the famous actor, very handsome guy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the first Thor movie, he's charismatic, he's affable, he's tough, he's, the women are attracted to him. Look at the last Thor movie. The last Thor movie, he's fucking a bumbling idiot. The women are kind of making fun of him. So we've gotten our role models taken away, and with the access to smartphones and the internet, a lot of young men are drawn to that sort of thing, and that becomes their role model, either the red pill stuff or their more outspoken kind of hateful speech, and that's how they're being raised.
You are 1,000% right. Some people have called it like looking for an daddy, as they say. Like they look for, an online daddy,
Yeah,
and there's truth to that. There's truth to that. But like you said, at the end of the day, it boils down to men not having decent role models and them finding them in the worst possible place. In my opinion,
yeah. There
it's
was sort of
crazy.
a vacuum left. There was a vacuum left. Someone had to fill that vacuum, and it's been filled by, I think, the wrong people. So street beefs. Where was your fight at? But like, tell me a little bit
That
about it.
absolutely that was in Winchester, Virginia.
Okay.
Uh, we unfortunately, and that's where they do all their fights, the main branch. Uh, it sucks that it was raining that day, so we didn't get the fight in the OG backyard. Where they just fight on the freaking dirt. I've always wanted to do that. I've always just wanted to get one fight on the dirt. Uh, so we didn't get to do that, but we did get to fight. And they have a nice ass gym. They have just this big warehouse that's just full of boxing and
Okay.
MMA equipment, and I'm a little surprised that they don't use that as their main area because
Yeah.
like it's such a nice setup. But yeah, instead it was at their little facility a few miles north of where the OG backyard is, and yeah, me and a fanboy of this guy, a fanboy of that low tier god character I mentioned, we fight for 2 minutes and he quits immediately after round one.
That sucks, bro.
Complete wussy shit. I mean, it's nice to be able to say I won, but at the same time, it was very unsatisfying. It was kind of like not yeah, not to be vulgar, but it was kind of like not getting to finish when you're making love,
Yeah, that was premature
you know,
ejaculation for sure, bro. That was a whole
exactly,
bunch. That was a whole bunch of build up to for nothing. That fucking sucked,
Ex-
man.
exactly,
So
exactly.
last time we spoke, I was actually really impressed with you. So when I first met
Thank you.
you, I you were you seemed really mellow, really fucking chill, and I didn't know what to think of you because you were like, "Hey, brother," and you're like you were really fucking mellow and chill. And it took me a while, and you seemed like a really decent guy.
Thank you.
Like you seem really kind of down to earth, really grounded kind of guy. Because I don't always get that reception when I show up at somebody's fucking door. I, it's pretty much a mixed bag. I got to kind of, but yeah, you seemed like a decent guy. How was the transition from the military? Are you still
Oh,
in the
thank.
military? How does that work? How does that do?
Oh yeah, I'm still in the military. They're
Okay.
probably gonna get rid of me. With the well, we'll see. We'll see. I have a PT test coming up Monday, and I'll probably kill it. But because it's built for people like me. It's built for runners and
Yeah.
people with muscular endurance as opposed to muscular strength. 1 minute
Yeah.
of max push-ups as opposed to like what is your max bench press.
Yeah.
And so for me, push-ups are easy as hell. Uh, I can only bench 2 plates at most, but I can do 70 push-ups in a minute easily,
Yeah.
and that's what the military values. So that might change my current commander's mind and make him kind of want to keep me, but we'll see. Anyway, long story short is I'm still in the military right now. I might get out. Thank you so much for what you said about feeling like I was a mellow down to earth guy. I could also tell immediately upon meeting you, and not to blow smoke up your ass, but it
No.
was how I genuinely felt. Like I could tell, you were a genuine, good freaking guy, and I felt like it was a lucky happenstance,
Yeah.
to come across you. And I feel like sometimes luck happens in your life, and you have to be there to take it. You
Yeah.
have to be there to make the most of it, and that would and uh, when you had that conversation with me at the end of our first meeting, I was like, clearly, clearly we have this commonality of
Yeah.
podcasting. Clearly, we probably have a lot more in common than we think. And I was like, this is a gentleman that I want to be connected with. This is a
Yeah.
gentleman that I want to see what he does in life, and I want to see him succeed, and I want to see him doing well, and that's why I wanted to be your friend. No homo.
Oh no, it's a yeah, no problem. No, I should have said that too. And when I called Thor handsome, I
Hey,
should,
no, he is handsome. He is handsome.
yeah, he's a handsome guy. So what do you still struggle with how you grew up? Do you still struggle with that? Was there a maybe a moment? How does that look? Like how does that look for you?
Absolutely. No, like at USAFA, I was constantly the Air Force Academy. I was constantly
Yeah.
getting in trouble for my mouth. Uh, when people would do something that I thought was wrong, I would tell them to go fuck themselves. Part of my language,
Okay.
and the military does not like that at all. Uh, my 4 years at USAFA, I spent 3.5 years on behavioral probation just because I kept getting into it with people, my superiors, my teachers, my inferiors, anyone. Uh, and unfortunately, I can't really say that there was one singular moment that flipped a switch because I feel like it's a gradual progression
Yes, it is.
in terms of going from that unhealthy person to that healthy person, and I'm still not fully there. That switch still isn't fully flipped.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm still susceptible to anger, still susceptible to defeating myself, beating myself up. Uh, but what I try to do, my friend Kevin, is I try to be grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
There was a period of my life before the USAF, before the military, where I was homeless, and for me, I never thought that I'd be where I am now. That I'd have a loving wife and two beautiful children, and I have a real opportunity. A real opportunity. If I just stay the course, if I just keep my head down, if I just shut up and keep making money however the hell I can make money. I can
Yeah.
give these two beautiful kids I have a
Yeah.
much better life than I have, and maybe they can achieve their potential. Where for me, I always feel like I never lived up to my potential because of where I came from. But
Yeah.
they don't have to go through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of stopped that generational trauma because your grandma, and then your mom, and then you is it's important to stop that, and that's a big thing. Yeah,
Exactly, my friend.
yeah.
Exactly.
How was your wife's surgery? It worked out well.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it was successful. And
Good.
what's today? The 13th. So just 3 days ago, she finally got cleared to take the sling off. She'd been being naughty and taking it off anyway, but she, thank God, now she really has two arms back,
Yeah,
and that opened the door for me to go back to work because I was on leave from the military for a very long time, paternity leave at first, and then when she got her surgery, I took more leave to cover for her.
yeah,
But now that she has two semi-functioning arms back, I can trust her with the kids a bit more. I could
yeah,
not feel sick to my stomach if I leave her completely alone with them, like I'm doing right now, sort of. She's in the master bedroom with them, giving them baths and shit, and
yeah,
for the last month, it's been me doing that at least. So, this is like one of the few times in the last 4 months since my son has been born that I stepped away completely to talk to a friend
yeah.
to do anything that was completely selfish. Because like it's because of her injury. I just prioritized being there for them.
Yeah, I think that's part of what masculinity is, to tell you the truth. I think
You're
that's
right.
actually part of being a man. I think that sacrifice is part of being a man, and that's a that's like a really respectable thing. There's a Buddhist saying that we can plant our flower. When we start kind of looking at ourselves and working on what we need to work on and looking at our past, we can plant a flower, but for the rest of our lives, we have to pull the weeds.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, I think that
Love
when
that.
you get to a certain age, you're used to something for so long that it's easy to slip back into old patterns, old thinking patterns, thought patterns, and old habits.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They say, I forget who said it. It might have been James Joyce.
Okay.
It might have been someone else. That a man can be done with his past, but his past is never done with him.
Yep. That's right. That's good. That's good. I've never heard that. Yeah, that's right along those same lines. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. We can, and all right. So I just heard a fucking saying that was like it was something like what we get praised for in public, we pay for in private. So we may carry the weight. Let's say you have a certain amount of emotional resilience, and the world kind of sees that, and it's like, hey, he's carrying that well. He's got that resilience. But there's a lot of men, there's a lot of people. I won't even just say men. There's a lot of people sitting around a dinner table in an abusive relationship because they
Mm-hmm.
have that emotional resilience. Their rock bottom may not just be the basement. There could be a cellar and a trap door.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's funny. It's ironic, but it takes a lot of strength to be a punching bag for
Yeah.
your significant other. Like it takes a super amount of resilience, like you said.
Yeah. And just because you may carry it well, it's kind of the curse of competency also. So you may carry that weight well, but then we have a hard time, especially men. All right, I'm gonna kind of change down track. I guess I'll
Go.
go down a quick rabbit hole. We have a hard time as men actually communicating with each other and being somewhat vulnerable with each other. And it just because we carry it well doesn't mean that it does not mean that when the door's closed or we're sitting by ourselves, that we don't still have demons, that we don't still have certain demons that we have to deal with every day. And I think I've got a couple of good men in my life that can be vulnerable, that can just say, man, I'm going through this, or you know what I mean? And I really cherish that because I think that's what men need. I think men need more men to be able to say, I'm going through the same fucking thing. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
I wake up and I wasn't confident today, but I went out that fucking door and I went to war. Or you know what I mean? Because we tend to think that's just us. We think, oh, we're dealing with all this and we're dealing with this. But I think it's generally everybody. And if we were a little more honest with each other, I think the world would be a little bit of a better place.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. It's tough because as men, like you said, you kind of get smacked a little bit for exposing yourself. You kind of get smacked a little bit for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. We either, certain, and I don't like to generalize all women. I don't want to generalize all men. But, we used to go to war from an evolutionary perspective. We went to war together. If I'm going to go to war with you and you're standing by my side and you tell me, God, I woke up this morning and I wasn't very confident, I'm like, fuck, I'm fucked. Like I'm going to get fucking killed in this battle. And that may be kind of where that comes from. You know what I mean? We were always the ones. So men tend to communicate shoulder to shoulder. Women communicate face to face.
shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. So in
I like that.
Australia, they did something called the Shed Initiative, where they would pack 5 or 6 men into a shed and they put a broken down lawnmower and they kind of stand around, they'd look at that lawnmower and be like, hey bro, hand me that wrench. And they get to wrenching on his lawnmower. And before you know it, within 10, 15 minutes, they're all just fucking vulnerable and they're talking about their lives because that's not the forefront thing on their mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The Shed Initiative. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. Australia is the only one who's done that. Are you looking up right now? Look it up. Let's read about
Yeah.
it.
The Men's Shed movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. God bless.
Yeah.
God bless. Wikipedia was saying the movement, yeah, originated in Australia around the 1980s as a way to improve the health and well-being of older men. God bless. I can't believe I never heard of that.
Yeah. I don't know why it hasn't made it out of Australia.
Great
I didn't
question.
I didn't realize it was the 1980s. I think it should have made it further, but we're already making strides towards men's mental health. So yeah, I always thought that was kind of so I end up cherishing friendships that I have with men that I can just talk to because I don't give a fuck about a pissing contest. I don't care about whatever little stupid little secret competition you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about
Exactly.
that. I cherish the men in my life that I can be like, oh, bro, I got my heart broke. Oh, it hurts. Like, and I've got some men that I've gotten phone calls from men being like, oh my God, my wife left me. I don't know what to do. And I fucking love that. And I think that if we had more men communicating with each other like that, I think we would all teach each other a little bit how to express ourselves like that and be more emotional. And we would all then feel safer to be able to do that.
I agree. I agree. And that's true masculinity, honestly.
That is
You
true
know?
masculinity because the and I don't mean to hog the conversation. I'll hand it back over.
Not at all.
Bravery isn't the absence. If you got, let's say you're trained to go into a house and kill 10 people and they're shooting at you and you're shooting at them, right? That's a training you go through. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't never been in that spot, but that's what they do. Like they go there and do that. And I think bravery is when you are scared and you do it anyways. I like the vulnerability. Oh, I'll get the sweating on here. You know what I mean? I still have that little bit of, so I just think that we could all learn from that. And I think that would be a big, big step forward.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree completely. And I agree with the definition of bravery, too. It's about facing your fears, not about not having fear. If you don't have fear, well, that's just kind of being a psychopath as opposed to being brave.
Yeah. Maybe a well-trained psychopath. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So you've got quite a few YouTube channel followers and half of them hate you. They don't like you. They follow you. That's interesting. Are you thinking about? Are you still thinking about going back to street beefs?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'd love to. One more time before I die. Kind of a bucket list items were one to have uh, to win an MMA match of some significance. Technically, thanks to that guy who quit in round one, I could say I did that. You know, our fight might have been lame, but it got 76,000 views. I came out on top. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to also have a boxing match one day, and I'm thinking. I've talked to the gentleman who managed Street Beef's West Coast, which isn't actually West Coast. It's actually it bounces between Arizona and Nevada.
Okay.
I'm 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 thinking one more time. I want to do a boxing match on Street Beef's West Coast and be one of the few people to have fought on both the East Coast and the West Coast.
Okay.
And hopefully I can win that. And and then I think I'd be done completely. I don't train much anymore. Before I became a father, I used to be I might be a little runt, but I was a ripped little runt,
Yeah.
and you know I
Yeah.
was in constantly hitting the heavy bag in my basement, and I definitely stopped doing that as much once I became a father. But I'd like to have just one more ride, my friend, just one
Yeah.
more ride.
Yeah. And it'd be nice if it was an all-out brawl. It'd be nice.
Exactly,
It would be nice if it was something you had to like. You came out on top, but boy, did it fucking suck.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because with like I said, I'm more of an endurance type of athlete.
Yeah.
Not I don't consider myself an athlete, but I'm more of an endurance type of athlete. Like I knew exactly what I was doing in the fight that we had. I knew I was going to try to tire him out in round one, and I knew I was going to try to knock him out in rounds two and three. It's only a 3 round fight. I never expected to just quit in round one, so that was lame as fuck. Part of my language. But next time I fight, regardless of what it is, I'm just gonna immediately put it all out there. Like I'm just gonna go for broke. Either he's gonna knock me out or I'm gonna get knocked out. Like, and maybe I'll get knocked out, and the people who hate me will finally have their clip that they can post and you know get a million views, making a short out of,
Oh yeah.
or make their fucking TikTok Salodon gets knocked the fuck out. You know, maybe that'll happen, but maybe I'll win or maybe not. All I know is, for all the people that hate me, that one guy who quit was the only guy who was actually willing to put his money where his mouth is, and he only did 1/3 of the work. You know, he still quit after round one. All the people who hate me, they're all too pussy to actually, you know, put hands on me,
Yeah.
and
That
it's
that
interesting.
I think that comes with the internet. I think people's
Yeah,
balls drop, bro, very easily over a fucking keyboard. Like people
yeah,
become
absolutely.
big tough men and let their balls touch the floor the second there's a fucking keyboard because there's no fucking yeah. I like how that was put.
Yeah, absolutely right, my friend. Keyboard
So
warriors.
so where can people? So what is your so for my couple of followers and my couple of
Yeah,
subscribers? What is your YouTube channel?
my
Where can they
YouTube
find
channel
you?
is absolutely it's Salodon. SALLOW, and then DAWN, like the crack of dawn.
Okay.
Uh, I once every 10 years I do a live stream or a podcast like this.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get back into it. You know, like I said, I used to do it a lot more before I became a dad.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing I'm trying to do on that channel is I started doing video essays. I started doing a little series I call Down the Monkey Barrel, where about hour-long videos where I dive deep down a topic of weird internet culture.
Okay.
Uh, like the most recent one I did was on this really niche prank call community that used to be super popular in 2012, and then it kind of died. And no one has ever really done a video talking about it, so I was like, why don't I do a video talking about it? I know about this subject. And I want to do more videos like that, you know, like
Yeah.
random niches,
Yeah.
you know?
What are you on any other platforms?
No, I shit post on Twitter a little bit. It's all the same handle though, Saladon.
Okay.
I I I do have a Twitter and Instagram, but I don't really use them. I'd say the YouTube is really it. The
Okay.
YouTube is really the one place that I actually care a little bit about. You know.
Okay. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. What I like to do something toward the end where I kind of ask somebody what what do you think your biggest struggle is? What do you think you talk to your pillow about the most? What do you think that your biggest internal struggle that we haven't spoke on is right now?
Absolutely. I'd say defeatism, self-defeatism. I'd say I I convince myself that a task is too great for me to accomplish. Like for example, I have an unfinished basement. I have the material to build a bedroom down there. Haven't gotten jack done on it except for a little bit of demolition, basically. Uh, you know, and I just have this crap in my garage sitting there, taking up space, and I can make all the excuses I want. Yes, I'm a father. Yes, I'm a very dedicated father, and yes, I hate to step away from them. But if if I weren't a defeatist, if I weren't beating myself up instead of doing it, I could find an hour a night to work on it. I think
Yeah,
instead of an hour a night to do something else. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I'd say that's my biggest struggle: making myself accomplish these tasks that I'm anxious about. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, like a self-confidence thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think so.
I appreciate that. I struggle with that too. I appreciate that, brother. I like that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think you're the first one in 30 or 40 episodes that have actually answered that honestly. It's amazing. I'll
Well,
sit
thank you,
here for
Kevin.
an hour with somebody and I ask them that and they'll just give some canned answer. And I'm just like, right away, I'm like, that fucking sucks. So thank you,
If
brother.
I may,
I hope you have a good
before
night. Thank you for
before
coming
you go,
on.
what about you? Do you have any
I
one singular flaw that you?
Yeah, I do. So I think the biggest thing I named the podcast. The first name was 3 a.m. Pillow Talk,
Yep.
and I wake up in the middle of the night a lot, and I doubt myself. I say, "Am I going down the right road? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish? Like, is that too big for me? Am I worth that?" And so that's kind of a nightly thing where I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm in over my head. I'll never be able to make this happen. I'm not worth actually that happening and building something that other people can look at and that I can be proud of. So yeah, I think that it's a big worth thing.
Beautiful.
Big not really feeling worth it. So yeah,
Thank you for opening your heart in return, my friend. And
absolutely.
thank you for having me, Kevin. Love you, buddy.
All right, brother. You have a good night, man.
You too.